Up on the brief this morning, the time may just be now to walk the talk on the contentious issue of state police to decentralize the nation's security architecture. Is the next line of thought for President Bola Tinubu, who is about to set up a committee to study the modalities about this. The issue was perhaps the highlight of his meeting with the 36 governors, the vice president, the NSA, and others who were engaged them and told them to abhor incompetence, support local farmers to boost food production and combat commodity hoarding. President Bola Tinubu appeals to the governors to work in synergy with the federal government to improve the welfare of citizens, and this was disclosed by the Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Mohammed Malagi, after the meeting.
Now, there is also a discussion around the issue of state police. The federal government and the state governments are mulling the possibility of setting up state police.
By the way, let's tell you that the president is out of the country. He left the country yesterday for Addis Ababa for the AU summit. Let's move on now. Perhaps the need for more boots on the ground to tackle insecurity at the grassroots is why a former governor of Kano State and a federal lawmaker, Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, is asking the federal government to recruit more persons into the police force. Senator Shekarau argues that the shortfall in the police force can only be closed by consistent massive recruitment into the police. The former governor, who was guest on our program Politics Today, also seeks the implementation of the 2014 National Conference.
There must be a very serious drive in mass recruitment of the Nigerian police. What we have today, take Egypt, for example. Egypt is about 80 million people, but they have up to 4 million policemen. Nigeria, we have over 200 million people. We don't have up to 1 million policemen. It's just about 400, 450, or even 350,000. So the recruitment, Buhari promised to recruit 10,000 every year. But my committee in the Senate, Shehu, was in charge of pension. And from the police pension records, on the average, every year, 5,000 policemen leave the service, either by death, by retirement, by whatever means, on the average 5,000. So if you are recruiting 10,000 a year, you are technically recruiting only 5,000. So I made a submission. I have the documents. I gave it to Professor Ibrahim Gambari, to the government, that what we need, that there be a proper plan of about 50, 60,000 recruitment drive, non-stop, continuous training. The problem has been the recruitment has not been steady. And there is no way with 350 policemen you can police the whole of Nigerian territory. It's not practicable. It can't work. The number is inadequate. The equipping is inadequate, the funding is inadequate, the training is inadequate, the welfare is inadequate. All of this have to be put together to the table to address this insecurity. Then you complement it with this community policing. Come and see how it is working. We're not talking of something abstract. I challenge anyone to come to Kano, go to the Hizba board, find out the records, ask anybody on the street. The community policing is working. Of course, not a perfect one, but at least the issue of recruitment, I agree, is so inadequate. We need to have about 10, 20-year long-term plan of recruitment.
And still on security, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Betoko, is confident that banditry will cease once the Police Special Intervention Squad is launched across all the 36 states of the Federation. Mr. Betoko made the assertion during a 2-day working visit to Bauchi State, where he emphasized his commitment to creating a professional and competent police force to restore the Nigerian police to its former glory.
By the time the SIS fully takes off, the days of the bandits and other criminals terrorizing our communities are numbered. Bauchi State, though a peaceful state, but we don't want the peace of Bauchi to be broken in any way. Therefore, Bauchi State has been selected as one of the pilot states.
We're hoping for the very best with all of this conversation around the security of the country. Let's move on now. The leadership of the Labour Party appears to put accountability in the front burner as its presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections Mr. Peter Obi gave a breakdown of campaign spending during the last elections. He says although the party has harmonized fundings from donors, they still need to appoint an external auditor to look into the books and their spending due to speculations that some persons may have collected funds on behalf of the party and not disclosed same. Some highlights of the details includes a 595 million naira that was received through public donations, while Mr. Obi himself provided 800 million naira for his Obi Dati campaign.
We're actually going to go to the various people who supported us in diaspora to say thank you and tell them what was realized. And we also are going to put an information out there that whoever knows where funds are supposed to have been remitted to help us trace and get that. But know that people are claiming we received about $150 million. And as 30 years, we haven't seen 1% and I stand for anybody to dispute or prove that.
Now, the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Mr. Amoyele Showore's co-defendant, Olawale Bakare, can now heave a sigh of relief as the federal government has discontinued their trial bordering on treason. Showore and Bakare were arraigned before the Federal High Court, Abuja, in 2019 following a protest rally staged in Abuja tagged Revolution Now. The decision to discontinue the trial was communicated to the Federal High Court through a notice of discontinuance dated February 14th, but filed on February 15th by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi. The trial judge, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, had earlier threatened to strike out the treason charge filed against Mr. Showore if the Nigerian government was not ready to go down or go on with the case 5 years after. And the cry for help, for intervention rather, continues over economic hardship and hunger as the Northwest Youth Wing of the All Progressives Congress say they are concerned over the increasing cost of living and insecurity in the country, particularly in their region. They are asking the President, Bola Tinubu, and the party to find ways to mitigating sufferings of the masses. The chairman of the APC Youth Wing in the region, Mr. Abdul Mohammed, asked the presidency to act fast for the sake of the vulnerable groups, amongst others. Let's talk business. Nigeria's inflation maintains its upward trajectory, which now stands at 29.90% for January 2024, from 28.92% in December 2023, showing a 0.98% increase month-on-month basis, based on the latest data released by the National Bureau of Statistics on its Consumer Price Index report. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 8.08% points higher compared to the rate recorded in January 2023, which was 21.82%. According to the NBS, the food inflation on the year-on-year basis was 35.41%, 11.10% higher compared to the rate recorded in January 2023, which was 24.32%. The report, which comes on the heels of the rising cost of living, shows a rise in food inflation. It was caused by increasing rise in prices of bread and cereals, potatoes, yam, and other tubers. Meanwhile, the central bank has also authorized all authorized dealer banks to stop the payment of personal travel and business travel allowances in cash, but they must now be processed electronically, including debit and credit cards. So that's a big one from the Central Bank of Nigeria, besides the inflation number. Now, outside our shores, the recently deployed troops from South Africa to quell a rebellion in the Democratic Republic of Congo have suffered their first fatalities. 2 soldiers were killed and there were others that were injured after a mortar bomb landed in their base, and the attack has led to South African opposition politicians calling for the withdrawal of troops from DR Congo. The troops are part of the regional force helping DR Congo's military as it confronts a series of armed groups. It appears labor in Côte d'Ivoire talking sports was not in vain, as the Super Eagles of Nigeria now rank 28th 14 places higher in the latest FIFA ranking following their performance at the just concluded 2023 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON. Nigeria lost to Cote d'Ivoire in the final of the competition, but concluded last weekend and have climbed up the FIFA ladder after that great showing. The latest improvement makes the Super Eagles of Nigeria Africa's number 3 team, only behind Morocco, while 12 and Senegal, who are ranked 17th, as Argentina maintain the top spots on the global scene and are followed by France and England. Well, those are the stories we've been tracking and some of the things we will be looking at later on the show.